Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Nerd Tube. And it's time to talk about The Last of Us. And I'm here with Jose 101. How you doing?
Here we go, baby. We're in the home stretch. We've got two more to go. And I
And
think
this,
it's safe to say in this episode, you got more of what you wanted. You got more gameplay elements out of it.
yeah, yep. This is episode. Oh, sorry, season 2, episode
So 5.
5. Feel the love, and this was a really good episode, but it just felt like a continuation of everything that's already happened. And we're keeping the overall story going. And I really liked it. I do feel we're going to get the flashback episode next week.
We are.
Without that, we should put a halt to procedures, unfortunately. But regardless, what we got here was
Uh-oh.
yeah. But we oh, sorry, is that me?
Yep. I think that's you because you kind of cut out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I moved my microphone. Am I back?
Yep. You're back.
Yeah. So
Yep.
at the start of this episode, we see a couple of members of that particular faction. The ones that were they look like the Shield.
Now you're starting to lag. I don't know if you're catching yourself, but you're starting to lag a little bit. But that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
The Shield. In the WWE, they're
Mhm.
talking about something that's happened, and how there's like an evolution with the with with what are they called again? The xenofeps, the quadriceps. So
The cordyceps, the infected.
yeah, and it's become so bad that there's one lady who's kind of broken down, telling her friend that she had to sacrifice her own son, who we do see later on, by the way. But she had to sacrifice her own son to stop the spreading of this because the cordyceps, they're no longer just like fungi tentacles running. They're spores. It's
Yeah.
airborne, but luckily it's been contained so far in section B1 and B2 in that part of the building that they're all sharing at this moment in time. But yeah, we were told B1 and B2 because that does play a part a little bit later. But we cut back to Ellie and Dina, and they're obviously plotting, a way of getting into the building so they can obviously avenge Joel.
Yeah, and the plot line of this episode is actually pretty simple. It's just, okay, your objective this week is to get from A to B, and that's basically the plot line of the episode, which was brilliantly paced. It was like, all right, we're going to make it kind of a filler episode, give it a little bit of a purpose, but we're just more so going forward in a direction just to kind of stretch it out a little bit. That's what I felt like this episode was.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, it was just it was a direct continuation of what happened last week. You could have easily have made this last week and this week's episode a one super long episode if you wanted to, regarding what happened today. But I still enjoyed it. It was paced very well. It gave me those gameplay elements. We still have more infected, which was something they're giving us now this season because they didn't give us enough of it last season. And some people I debated with told me that it wasn't always about the infected, but they played a part in the game. And if you're going to copy the game, not just in fucking cutscenes, but also in gameplay, then you need some fucking infected because the infected were the gameplay.
Yep.
Not all of it, obviously. Human beings were too, but the infected played a part as well. And now I think because they have no choice, to if they're going to copy the gameplay, that is, but if they have no choice but to do it as an airborne infecting virus, because I think there's some things that are just too difficult to replicate without it being an airborne virus. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's pretty fair to say. I think I like the direction that they went with it, where it's like, okay, now not only is like biting someone the case of being infected, if you breathe it in with the spores, they did establish that in the first game, and they kind of did in the first season, but here is where I felt like they really made sense of it, where it's like, if you breathe in this shit, you're going to be fucked, and we will get into that later in this episode with what happens toward the end. But keep going.
Okay, so I said we do cut to Ellie and Dina, and they're rummaging around and trying to get into this place. And once again, they're hiding in long grass, just like in the game. The dogs are obviously wondering what the hell's going on, and there's a childlike hole in the wall, and one of the guards thinks that that Ellie, they thought Ellie was a rodent or something. But by the way, prior to that, there was a moment when Ellie finally had the realization, like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, you're going to be a mum. The things that we were going on about.
Once again, I called it last week. It's the cycle of, is this all this worth it? That's going to be the constant theme, like I said in last week's episode. Going forward, you're going to see those moments in pretty much most of the episodes with Ellie, with the remaining episodes of Ellie, where it'll be like, all right,
Hello, Winnie.
Hello, Winnie. Is the cycle of violence really worth all this? And, it really makes you think. It's a moral dilemma. And I like that because in the video game, they didn't really have this kind of thing. Ellie was just hell-bent on going after Joel. But here it was like, okay, Dina, what the fuck am I doing? I'm so fucking stupid. Like, you're about to have a baby. We're about to be parents. What do we do? And then they have that talk about, okay, wherever I go, you go. Kind of like in Titanic, you jump, I jump bullshit. Is the vibe I got out of that.
I think Dina was also trying to tell Ellie, look, I'm responsible for me. You're not responsible for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've chosen to come here. If you want us to turn back, and this is the thing though, she finally gave Ellie the option after telling her the story about how she ran away and what happened to her mom and all of that. She finally gave Ellie the option. So if you want to turn back, we can turn back. And Ellie still decided, you know what, fuck it, let's keep going. So the option was there. She had the chance. She had the opportunity to say no after, initially bringing up the fact that she's bringing a pregnant woman on this trip, where it could really fuck things up. But regardless, they decided to keep going, and that's when all the shenanigans start to begin. And like the whole area, like the area they're in, it's falling apart. It's dark. It's scary. It feels haunted. It's all broken down. There are infected there, but there's one part where they go into a room and go into a building, and those stalkers are in there. And that was scary as fuck because...
Yeah, and just to clarify, for those that don't know, you obviously do because if you play the game, the stalkers are the really, really smart ones. Like, the stalkers are the ones that, like, can run, like, really fast, like, almost like Flash, kind of. And
they're tactical.
Yeah, they're tactical. So what I loved is that they went into it like, okay, look, we can't go in there guns blazing. We got to knife these motherfuckers out if we have to. And do not use your bullets unless you absolutely have to. I love that scene in this episode where they actually had to pace out what they were going to do.
I mean, like, give them clickers any day of the week. At least they can't see and shit. These stalkers, they're flanking and doing maneuvers. And then one stalker's bad enough. Like, they had a whole fucking room of them. And they were totally outnumbered by these stalkers as well. And it took a moment, of quick thinking on Ellie's part, who comes across as a bit silly at times because a lot of the times things have to be explained to her by Dina, which is fair enough. She's young and she's not educated. So I get it. I mean, she's more street smart if anything. But put her into that cage and make sure the infected don't get her, and it doesn't matter if they bite Ellie because she's immune.
Yep.
Even they start running out of bullets, and it's crazy. No cage is safe for fucking infected. They start ripping it up pretty quick, and all of that to get to her. But then out of nowhere, here comes Jesse. Jesse to save the day, and I didn't see that fucking coming. Did you?
I thought it was going to be Tommy at first, but then I remember the game, and I'm like, oh, yeah, Jesse shows up first. So Tommy, we're probably not going to see Tommy for the rest of this season. I doubt it. If we do, it'll be probably the last episode. Well, not counting the flashback episode, but Jesse showing up. I love how he was like fucking furious with both of them. He was like, what the fuck is wrong with you two? Like, you don't go here. You got to go back. You got to, like, what are you doing? And Ellie like starts to snap at him, and he goes, "Do you think I really want to fucking talk to you right now?" Like that's how pissed he was, and I thought that was a great scene.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's mad. He put them in jeopardy.
Yep.
You know, they're going for revenge. Joel's brother Tommy has every right to want revenge himself, but he's thinking the bigger picture, and he wants Ellie to do the same as well. You know, it's a cycle of revenge. Did you? No, I didn't call Dina uneducated. I said it was Ellie. Dina's actually the one who acts educated. She's the one who's working out the maps and stuff. But Ellie at the times, and when they're both of them to a degree are uneducated. They haven't gone to school. They don't get brought up the right way. They're living. They're both
They're
young
both
adults.
born, and they were both
You know,
born in this world, so they're not going to have any concept of like what the old
yeah.
life was like. They're not going to have any concept of going to school, learning your
I
ABCs,
mean,
and
if they
shit
can
like
read,
that.
that's fucking amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah. And she was doing vectors and knows what I'm sure she does. She obviously been taught in certain things which are important in this part of the world, in this world that they're living in.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyways, going back to that, but yeah, like Jesse, like yeah, he's got the right frame of mind, and he said, "Fuck it, let's just go." I'm taking you girls home.
Yep.
And yeah, like when there's no ifs or buts, Joel's revenge is over. We're going fucking home. This is you guys have used all your fucking luck already. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
And so they're running away. Some of the bad guys are after them. They're chasing them and shit like that. So yeah, they're trying to get away as far and quickly as possible. And then finally, they decide, let's go into the park. We can hide from them there. But that's when the bad guys stop chasing them because they don't go into the park.
Nope. Because
Why is that?
there are the scars. The scars are right there. They're about to get ready to. They've got this guy like hung up, and let's just say they turned this guy into a fucking kebab. It's pretty much the most simplest.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same. They were kebab. That was what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yep. They pretty much just turned this guy into a fucking kebab, and it's like they're like, she may guide us, or whatever the fuck it is that they say. Like, they don't believe, like, Ellie and Dina, like, they've heard of these people, but they don't know these motherfuckers. Like, Abby will know these motherfuckers. When we get to her arc, that's when you're really going to see, I think, the scars explained and how they came to be and that kind of shit.
That'll probably be a season 3 thing because this season's almost done and dusted. But what I found fucked, in this was this guy. He's sacrificing this person. He's killing them. They're religious nutcases.
Yep.
They truly are. But he stabs the guy, and instead of like moving the blade himself,
he sliced that motherfucker. He said,
No, he kept the blade still. But the guy who's on the hook and he's being lifted, they lift him while the blade is in him.
And it wiggled. Did you see that shit? Did you see it?
Yeah. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that small attention to detail where it just wiggled. I was like, oh, God, this is like some Mortal Kombat kind of shit. Like, that was initially what I thought. Like, I'd be like, you would see Baraka do this kind of shit in Mortal Kombat.
No, yeah, it was a crazy kill. Obviously, guts are spilling everywhere.
Yep.
DV says, I think the Seraphite god woman was immune and was killed in an attempt to make a vaccine. The WF knows about immune persons and we're clearly working on one. Yeah, well, they're running out or they're running low on scientists right now.
Yeah, if we ever get a third game, they could fucking go off Joel's theory of there's a lot more like you, Ellie. And maybe they could expand on that, but with Naughty Dog, I don't know. Uncharted 5 is probably going to be next in the works, and then they might revisit Last of Us, but I'm like, I don't know.
You would have thought, I mean, enough time has passed for them to have made a third Uncharted game, and the fact.
Oh, they've made four Uncharted. They've made enough.
I meant Last of Us. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I meant Last of Us.
Yeah.
And technically they've made 5, including the one with what's her face, Foster. The character, is that her surname?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Is it Meg Foster? I can't remember, but Anyway, yeah. So,
But now here comes
regardless,
the gameplay. Here comes Zam's favorite part of the episode, the gameplay elements, which were the highlight of the whole episode. Like the scars basically like see Ellie or hear Ellie or some bullshit happens. And Dina gets shot right in the fucking leg with an arrow. And it was like, oh, here we go. Now it's going to get good.
I heard in the game it was Ellie who got shot in the with an arrow.
Yep.
Yeah,
She got shot right between the shoulder blade.
So that means she could still run at least.
Yep.
But with Dina being shot in the leg, she ain't running for shit.
Mm-mm.
And Jesse has to be the one who has to carry her away for safety. And this is where Ellie decides now to be bait and tries to get the Seraphite gang to follow her in order to not to follow Dina and Jesse. So that was a nice, brave move by Ellie. What happened after that? It started to be a bit of a blur.
After that, okay, they break into the hospital. They get out of there. And now, here we go. We're kind of heading toward the end. Like now, Nora and Ellie encounter each other, and they're about to fight it out. And then here comes the theory of like how, the airborne type of shit happens. Yeah, so we're pretty much at the end of the episode.
Yeah, she ends up running into she runs back into the enemy territory, back into the building as a way of making the Seraphites follow them by maybe going into enemy territory and using the other enemies to kill off the Seraphites, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, she ends up finding Nora, who's going to be in the new. She's the face of that new video game coming out, isn't she?
I think so.
Yeah, Nora is. But yeah, she finds her in this room, in this hospital room, and she's fiddling with something. But Ellie remembers her and knows the name because Dina remembers the names. And
because one detail we forgot to point out, not that it really matters, it's a small detail. In the beginning of the episode, they were talking about like these idiots always leave their fucking walkie-talkies on, so we know where they're going to be at. We just got to scout the shit out, and that's essentially how they found Nora. I don't think it was in the recaps though.
The group we saw kill episode 2 ago weren't Seraphites; they were heretics. Isaac was talking, but these guys had the scar on their cheeks.
Yeah.
Hold on. That was last week. But a couple of weeks ago, we saw those people killed in the bush. They were Seraphites, but they had the scar on their cheeks.
Yeah, and they whistled. Those are the scars. They're the Seraphites.
But the voters are the ones who ended up being the WLF.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
But the way I look at it, this is kind of like a triple threat war. You got the military, you got the survivors, and you got the military, you got survivors, and you got the WLF and scars and all that bullshit. Like you got a whole combination of these motherfuckers.
Battle of 5 armies.
Yep, all just trying to fight it out.
Yeah. They had Scar, but they had left the Seraphites. They don't recognize the woman as a god.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. They're heretics. Yeah, you're right.
You're right.
Okay, fair enough. So, but they still did the whistling thing, like as well. I mean, I guess that's what they know.
Yeah.
But, the whistling thing with the Seraphites, they did that shit. They did that shit too. But regardless, when Ellie's chasing that girl into the hospital, and they run into level B2, and this is where Nora has a choice. Does she go after? Does she face Ellie, or does she take a chance with the spores? And I guess she'll take a chance with the spores. And I'm not sure. You ever played the game The Division?
I've played a little bit of Division, yeah.
I was getting Division vibes a little bit. But then obviously I was getting vibes with other movies as well, because as Ellie's walking through this section of B2, which is the infected section, we see the infected all over the walls and everything. And from what I've realized, this is just like the video game.
Yep.
And it also reminded me of Alien and Aliens and stuff like that as well, because we see some of the infected in the walls.
Yep, breathing.
Yeah, and you can see the spores coming out their mouth when they're breathing. They look like they're fucking smoking the best weed on the planet. No, it's fucking spores they're exhaling.
Yep.
And we see one of the guys there. His name is Park, and he is the son of the lady who we saw at the beginning of the episode, who
Yes.
had to sacrifice her own kid, her own son in this particular case, when it came to the greater good. So yeah, he was there, and he's just stuck in the wall like that, you know.
Yep.
And finally, Ellie catches up with Nora,
Yeah, because
and
they fight. They don't just because for those thinking like they don't just run away. Like they actually fight before this spore shit fucking happens. Like Ellie's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and then they start fighting it out. Then the chase begins, and now that's why we've gotten to where we are in the
exactly,
episode. Yep. But then Nora's like, "You stupid bitch, you killed us both." And what I loved is Ellie had that like psychopath, like, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, I'm gonna fucking kill your ass. Like you are done. Like I love that. I love that in this episode.
and Nora then comes to the realization that Ellie is the immune girl,
Yep.
that Abby's father was going to work on back in season one. The immune girl who lived whilst everyone else died. The immune girl who lived, and in a way, because she lived, she never got experimented on, which meant that there was no fucking cure either.
Yep.
And Ellie doesn't knows all this, and she doesn't give a fuck about it anymore. It's funny in a way because I felt at the very beginning of the season she was willing to die, because which is why she had a lot of anger towards Joel.
Yep.
But after Joel got killed, she don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? She don't give a fuck.
And here's what people got to remember, like I said at the very beginning of the fucking thing, before we even started all this, Joel is an asshole. That just has to be said. Like people are like, "Oh, Joel was this saint." I'm like, "No, the fuck he wasn't. Joel was an asshole. He had to do what he had to do to make it." So
I agree.
It's one of those things. It's like karma's gonna do what karma's gonna do.
It's why he also like didn't actually speak up for himself before he died.
Nice detail, Vance. Both Park actors, the mother and son, are actually named Park in real life.
I'm not surprised. I mean, Parker's as common as fucking Smith, among Koreans. But regardless, sorry, I lost my train. I lost my fucking train.
Okay, so basically, Nora's like, you killed us both, and like Ellie just has that. I don't give a fuck what you say. Look, you're gonna fucking die. And then Nora just goes on this big monologue about how like, it was Abby's Joel killed Abby's father.
Abby?
Yeah, and then it's like, where's Abby? And she's like, I ain't telling you shit. I would rather die before I tell you where the fuck she's at, which was what I got by the end of this episode.
And so she starts breaking her legs and shit. Because she will turn eventually, so you might as well just take out her ability to move.
Yep.
You know what I mean? By taking out her legs. And she fucking beat the fuck out of her. And then we cut to a flashback.
Yep.
And there's Joel. Hi, kiddo.
Yep.
And that's how it ends.
Yeah, and for all intents and purposes, this next episode, minus the ending fucking cutscene in the series, this is going to be pretty much Pedro Pascal's last episode. When you really stop to think about it, this is going to be his swan song coming up next week. For all intents and purposes,
I think so too.
Part. Yeah,
and I do feel that next week's episode will end with us back in the current day.
Yep.
But it will be mostly like a nice, it'll be a nice, sweet episode. Maybe the odd little bit of scary moment where they have to deal with the odd infected member or two.
But it's going to be the lighthearted episode, kind of like how Bill and Frank were. Like that's going to be this kind of episode where it's just going to be a lighthearted episode. It's not going to be anything heavy. Well, it will be a little heavy because it's going to be about how Ellie found out about like the truth about the vaccine bullshit and why she fucking got pissed at Joel. That's going to be the major kind of reveal next week.
I think it will end up going that direction by the end. So like they from a great relationship and Joel having a new daughter.
Yep.
To their relationship deteriorating.
Yep.
It's going to go that way.
Yeah. It'll start out as a happy episode, but it'll end up as a tearjerker. Like it was like, Joel, you're a fucking asshole, man. Like that's what a lot of people are going to be saying next week. Like, Joel, you're an ass. But this was overall, I think, a pretty good episode. I think we can rank
It
it
was
now.
fun. It was
Yeah.
fun. I just want to also add, it's really, I get really, I'm a big fan of Angry Joe, and I like watching his stuff. And I do think he's usually right on some, not always right, but he's quite right on some things, and he's politically in a similar position as me. But I think him and his crew, they're getting it really wrong on Bella Ramsey. She is fucking superb in this.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people have an issue with Bella Ramsey. For a start, a lot of people have an issue because she's not doesn't look like the character she's playing, but neither does fucking Pedro Pascal, and nobody has an issue with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dina, the woman playing Dina don't look nothing like Dina. I mean, you're not going to get this shit like 100% accurate. As long as the actors do their damn job and they do their best to portray the character as written, I don't really have a fucking issue what they look like.
let's just be very transparent here.
Yeah.
People are not maybe finding Bella Ramsey too attractive, and that's why they were having a go. They want to find some young teenage girl attractive and all of that shit, because I've never seen such a bigger deal made over this shit about her not looking like fucking Ellie. Then
For me, for,
yeah,
for for me, it was last week's episode that I'm gonna be a dad. Like, the outrage on Twitter I saw had me fucking laughing my ass off. I'm like, you people are gonna get this upset over
triggered.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, y'all are gonna get
it's just
this mad over
yeah.
this. It's just so funny to me.
It's
I'm
these
like,
are nothing issues, man. These are
yeah,
nothing issues. You want to roll your eyes up a little bit? Fair enough. You know what I mean? You want to
yeah,
start fucking raging over this shit? Seriously, sort your fucking life out. You
yeah.
know what
Go
I
be
mean?
productive. Go be productive. Go volunteer your time somewhere. Go do something with your life to enrich your life. How sad do you
Yeah,
have to be fucking be all like, she said I'm gonna be a dad. That's not possible because science and blah, 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 blah. Shut the
I
fuck up.
agree.
It's a TV
I
show.
100% agree. Bella
Yeah.
is questioning it. The people complaining on some Pornhub accurate. Yeah, I totally agree.
Daniel
I
Vance with
totally
the
agree.
comment of the day right here. He won. He
Yeah,
wins the day. Yeah.
that's pretty much what I was trying to articulate, and I'm
Yeah.
very happy that you said it that way, Daniel Vance. But it is true. You know, what I mean, these guys are full of fucking shit. You know. Anyways, let's mark it. What are you gonna give it, Jose?
I'm gonna go ahead and give this a solid 9. I mean, honestly, I know people are gonna be like, it wasn't a really dialogue heavy episode. It didn't need to be. It needed to be. You got to get from A to B, and it worked. And now we're gonna get the flashback episode next week. I'm expecting nothing gameplay oriented. It will be a heavy dialogue episode. It's going to be full of drama and all that stuff. And I'm very much looking forward to Pedro Pascal's swan song next week.
I'm gonna give it a 9 as well. It would have probably got a 10 if we had a bit of Jeffrey Wright in it.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's weird in a way. Like this run of the mill continuation episodes, it didn't feel like it had to like find its footing or anything. It was just a continuation episode. It was more down to what I wanted it to be than any other episode so far. This was great. We're in it. We're in the mix of it. Let's keep going. You know what I mean? No need to fucking change gears or anything like that. And I like that. I like that about this episode. It was a good episode. Now the gear change is definitely happening next week. I'll be shocked if it doesn't. But the gear change is definitely happening next week. So be prepared for that, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah,
Yeah.
9 out of what it gets. I am looking for some finale of some sort. I don't know how you could finale this because they still feel like they're in the thick of it. You know what I mean? So
I think this
what?
is going to be. I think this is getting ready to be it for kind of Bella Ramsey, because I think where they're about to go, they're what they did in the game was the first half was Ellie's perspective. Now it's going to shift into Abby, so that's where I think it's going to go. I think that you're about to see them fight, but you won't get that until the very fucking end of season 3. That's kind of
Just
what I'm
don't get.
thinking.
They mentioned, by the way, they did mention about how there was no rats. You remember that bit?
Yep.
When they were like looking for some sort of form of evidence of no rats, and I do feel the lack of rats is because of the Rat King,
Yep.
possibly, and the merger of all these bodies together. Please do not give us it this season.
No.
Honestly, I don't need that because then you're gonna have to try and top that next season,
And you can't.
and
And you
you
can't.
can't, and you can't. So yeah, give it to us next season. And yeah, regarding Abby, I don't mind her being the focus point next season, but you're still going to have Bella at some point in next season as well, maybe playing a secondary role, but obviously still being recognized and noticed and seen from different angles and yada, yada, yada. So, yeah. All right, great stuff, Jose. Great stuff, everyone else. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode 5 of season 2 review. We'll be back next week talking about episode 6 and obviously the Joel episode. And join us, myself and Jose, this week as we talk about Dark Side of the Ring. It'll be about the Sheik, the legendary Sheik. And by the way,
rest in peace, Sabu. We got to just say
nephew.
It now. Yeah,
his nephew, Sabu. Rest in peace. 60 years old.
Too young.
Yeah, so we'll find out. Hopefully, we'll get more information on how somebody that young passed away. But I guess taking the amount of bumps he did didn't help and probably contributed to his death. So rest in peace, Sabu. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.